Hey, welcome to the InNOLEvation podcast. I'm your host, Mark McNees. We're coming live from Florida State University, and we are powered by the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. Super stoked. This is the first episode of season 5. I cannot believe it. And in studio today, we have Kennedy Joy and Noah of Raide. So, hey, welcome, guys, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Excited to be here. Feels like an honor to be here for episode 1.
Let's start with Kennedy Joy. Kennedy Joy, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about your experience at FSU and a little bit about your company.
Absolutely. So my name is Kennedy Joy Forstall. I am a current senior here at FSU studying commercial entrepreneurship with a minor in social entrepreneurship. I am a big fan of the Jim Moran College and all that it has to offer. I was a finalist in the InNOLEvation Challenge last spring. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, and FSU has been incredible so far. The idea for Raide actually came from me being a part of the Pan-Atlantic community here at FSU. I saw a need for event-specific clothing for occasions such as formals and recruitment and game days, and so I approached my partner Noah about the idea, and the rest is history.
Outstanding. Real quick follow-up question. Are you in the InNOLEvation Challenge again this year?
We are anticipating on competing this next year as well, so we'll see.
Fantastic. All right, over to you, Noah.
Yeah, sounds good. So my name's Noah Romo. Originally, my family comes from Brazil. So I study computer science and I'm a software engineer. Also have a minor in innovation here at Florida State University. I have a little bit of a background and experience working and interning as a software engineer at both Meta, most recently JP Morgan Chase. And like KJ said, when KJ approached me back in January, which time flies, still feels like 2 months ago, she came up to me with this idea for this app. And I told her, well, I can't build an app by myself, but if you can convince my closest friend that's also a great software engineer to hop on this project, and she convinced him in less than 5 minutes, and we've been building Raide ever since.
All right. So KJ has a superpower of convincing people. Very, very cool. So let's get started because our audience doesn't really know what Raide is. Tell us about the inception of it. What's your value proposition? What are you trying to accomplish with this app?
Absolutely. So Raide is a consumer-to-consumer clothing rental app targeted towards college students, built for college students by college students, as we like to say. So it is an app that is a marketplace similar to a Poshmark or Curtsy, but for rentals, hand-to-hand rentals through students at FSU. So as I previously mentioned, events such as game days, formals, Greek life events, we found that many girls would buy an item and then only end up wearing it once. And not only is that not sustainable for the limited college budget, but it's also not sustainable for our environment. And we've become very passionate about overconsumption in clothing and just sustainability overall. And so we really want Raide to champion the idea of a more sustainable approach to how we obtain clothes, especially on a college budget.
Yeah, and the simple explanation and inspiration that I see behind it is imagine, especially when it comes to women's fashion, the way that clothes is usually only worn with a new outfit once and then never again. We totally see the inspiration with the simple idea of, let's say you're going to a wedding, right? Instead of spending $300 every single time you need a brand new dress, rent it on our marketplace for $30 for the weekend.
Fantastic. Well, that me being into sustainability and teaching at FSU on sustainable enterprise, I applaud that. I see lots of projects on the ills of fast fashion, so I'm glad that you guys are doing something about that. And what a terrific idea as well, and a solution to a problem that a lot of people have, especially with social media. I see a lot of people who don't want to be in the same outfit at different events and things like that, which, is it that big of a deal? But it's a big deal culturally.
Yeah, especially I think when it comes to generally fashion with women. With men, we don't necessarily care as much, but there's still a lot of inspiration we also have with Raide in terms of men, which we can get into a little later.
Awesome. So you keep on making a differentiation about women. Is this not open to men?
So it will be very soon. We have also seen a massive gap in how men attain formal attire in college, whether it be for formal events, graduation, fraternity rush. Most guys don't own more than one suit, and the idea of a men's warehouse is severely outdated. So we also want Raide to be a sustainable and financially advantageous alternative for male college students as well, to make a little money renting out their suit to a fellow student, as well as have more clothing options.
Yeah. And we already have a lot of men that are currently on the app already. It's not like it's men can't sign up currently. It's just that right now, a majority of all the listings are all women's clothing and dresses. And so we're just trying to build functionality to have a separate men's section, so men wouldn't be scrolling through women's clothing in order to like see things that they want.
No, I totally get it. And it's kind of funny. I'm thinking back when I was just starting my career and I was living in a house with a bunch of guys, and we literally had one suit between us. And like if we were going on interviews or whatever, it's like, hey, are you using the suit?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
But this is beautiful. And my daughter's boyfriend just went and rented a tuxedo for a wedding, and it was really, really expensive.
Yes.
So if something like this, it's the, what is Turo is for cars.
Yeah.
Like I have something and I'm not using it, and I can make some money and you can get something a little bit cheaper.
It's the entire
Absolutely.
idea.
No,
Make
it's
a little money
Absolutely.
on the side, get an affordable option.
Absolutely. We talk about Airbnb too being something we compare ourselves to as far as that marketplace model.
Fantastic. And I love the idea that you're starting with where FSU. And I think that demystifies it a lot too. It's like, it's not like some weirdo, out there. It's some weirdo I go to school with.
That's one of the most important things for us, is what we found with clothing rentals. And the biggest problem at first is trust. A lot of people, when we first were surveying them, don't necessarily trust renting their clothing out to a random person. But when you know that someone else is a student and a part of your local community, we found that people immediately were like, oh, okay, I'd let somebody borrow something that I have in the back of my closet then if they go to FSU.
Yeah, 100%, because, it's part of your community.
Exactly.
And I think it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but emotionally it makes sense. It's like, oh, it's part of my community. It's okay.
Absolutely. And that's why even early on, sitting down with early adopters, we discovered that this niche was such an exciting one, because that collegiate community is really interesting model to kind of, dominate the clothing rental space. It's a very interesting market to tap into.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously this is infinitely scalable, right? And that you're validating it at FSU is super, super smart. Okay, so when was the inception of this? How did all that happen? And where are you guys now? Bring us kind of like where you were and what's happening now.
Definitely. I can give a quick rundown. So back in January, when KJ first had the idea, she was seeing in her own sorority's group chat a lot of girls that were always borrowing clothes from each other for these events, but they had limited options. So KJ's idea was, why don't we connect one sorority to another sorority, expand their options? Now, when she came up to me, we started developing. We joined a program called Build Space, which is based out of San Francisco, that has builders from all over the world that are all just creating things. We joined a program called Nights and Weekends. So it's 6 weeks where the idea is work on those ideas, because everyone has ideas, but not everyone ever actually goes out and just builds it. So we just started building it. We'd go to class 5 till midnight every single day for 6 weeks. We built out the first MVP of Raide. And it started as a pop-up on an Instagram, and that turned into months later. Now we finally, 4 weeks ago, and generally a month ago, have launched the app on the App Store and now have a lot of live users starting to accumulate here at FSU.
I'm not going to give you a pass on that. So how many people are registered users right now?
Absolutely. So you're actually talking to us on our 1 month anniversary.
Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. We launched October 9th of this year.
My birthday.
Oh, look at that.
There we go. We share a birthday.
How exciting. You share a birthday with Raide. And so just yesterday we surpassed 800 users on campus.
That's fantastic.
And
feels great.
Yeah, feels so good. And we're currently on an 8-day streak of transactions of rentals. Yesterday breaking our record of how many rentals in one day.
Wow, fantastic. That's super, super exciting. So I could go a couple of different directions. Let's start with, how did you market this? How have you, 800 subscribers seems incredible to me. if you think about that as a percentage of your market. And so how did you market? And then just, I'm going to seed this question. I want to know, what's your revenue model and how are you making money and things like that.
Definitely.
So marketing, and then if you forget, I'll chime in, but revenue model.
Yeah, I'm sure KJ can go into the marketing.
Perfect, absolutely. So one of the most impactful parts of our marketing plan thus far has been our ambassador program. We have an ambassador in every Panhellenic chapter here at FSU, and they have been an incredible resource in getting the information out there. Our creative director, Morgan, and I have also been going to chapters and presenting, visiting, bringing stickers and T-shirts, really wanting to, boots on the ground, go and talk to our customers, and that has fared very well. We have an Instagram that we also put a lot of time and attention into. Being a collegiate-based product, social media is very important, and we acknowledge that. And so that has been a large focus of our time.
So let me pause. I'm sure a lot of our listeners sitting here right now are like, okay, how, like Raide, it's probably spelled a little bit differently. So can you spell it for us and give us your, we'll put this on the podcast too,
100%.
Link it and everything. But how do you spell Raide? And if they want to look at your Instagram right now, how can they get there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's RAIDE, and our Instagram is at Raide app.
Okay, fantastic. So, all right. So, follow-up question would be on the marketing side. One thing is, so you have influencers at every chapter, correct?
Yes.
Yes, not necessarily influencers, but ambassadors.
Ambassadors,
so,
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Ambassadors. And are they paid ambassadors? What's in it for them?
So it's really interesting because early on, Noah and I had a lot of conversations about what we could offer these people to incentivize them to assist. But we've been really surprised. There's no monetary gain for them. Once again, going back to the collegiate market is very interesting. It's a resume line item for them, getting to be a sales ambassador for an early startup, as well as just, a piece of identity, something they get to do and represent, stand out in their chapter. They often get very excited about. And it's a tight-knit community. Morgan and I work very closely. And some merch, of course. Who doesn't love merch? Yeah, but it's been very impactful so far.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us too, because we really didn't start with like any funding, even up till this point. It's really just been a lot of bootstrapping. So for us at first to see that girls were actually coming up to us, so excited, asking, how can I get involved? How can I get involved? And we're like, okay, we need to have an ambassador program. We just had to, because so many people just wanted to help us with Raide.
It's so exciting. And also going back to, having so many users in 1 month, girls have come up to us consistently, and I've been waiting for an idea like this. Either I've had this idea or, pieces of it. This is so fantastic. Can't wait to put this to use. And so they get excited and they tell their friends as well, which is an incredibly positive sign for us early on.
We haven't really spent much money on marketing at all. It's really just been direct door-to-door sales and word of mouth.
So what are and I know I said we were going to go to the business model, but I completely lied to you. Well, this is kind of the business model. I want to know what's important. What are you measuring? So you're measuring subscribers. Are you measuring how many pieces are available?
Yeah, that's definitely
Tell me about what you're measuring.
For sure. So I'd say the two most important things for us, other than user count, that honestly are probably more important, is A, transactions, because that's the actual amount of sales and the way that we're going to be able to generate some type of economic model to show if we're profitable or not. And B is the amount of, so we have transactions, but also inventory. Because we're a marketplace. The most difficult thing in the beginning with a marketplace is having enough options, right? When we first started our Instagram pop-up, we didn't have enough options. We weren't generating sales. That's what people told us. I really like the idea. I don't see enough options. So we really have been putting a strong emphasis on our ambassadors to push all the new users to immediately list as much as they can. So we've hit about, I think, a little over 450 listings now, which has finally been enough to start generating more traction on transactions. As we see listings go up, we do tend to see transactions pretty much match.
No, that's fantastic. It kind of reminds me in the early days of Uber, every commercial that you heard for Uber was not about getting a ride. It was about driving. Like they just needed, what do they call it? A critical mass,
exactly.
Right? They needed enough cars out there so people within, it's kind of the same thing. You need a big closet for them to raid.
Yep.
Like, see what I did there?
Exactly. I love it.
So, take me through a sample transaction. Say that there's somebody who is going to an event. Let's say they're going to go to a wedding. And they're like, I really don't want to drop $300 on a dress. Take me through the whole transaction of what's going to happen. How are they going to get the dress? And how are they going to return it and all of that good stuff?
Absolutely. So they would create an account on Raide, and through our app, they can browse hundreds of local listings. Soon they will be able to filter specifically size and color, as well as a handful of other things to find an exact match for what they're looking for that wedding. Then they can seamlessly rent it through a button on our app, and that will spur an in-app conversation through a chat with the lender. There they can agree upon a drop-off and pickup location, as well as discuss any other details as far as how that lender would like them to care for the item, washing, dry cleaning, etc. And then from there, they meet up, exchange the item, and then there's a 4-day rental window for them to utilize that item and then have it returned, once again, through that chat filter figuring that out, or function figuring that out, and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah, the biggest thing is definitely that it's a 4-day rental period, and we tell our users just pick up and drop off somewhere on campus. That's our whole point of why you can't sign up without an FSU EDU email, just to do a local drop off somewhere, even if it's like Landis.
Yeah, for safety as well. We're currently vetting only having that EDU email to, try to keep it safe.
No, that's really well thought through. Love that. I'm going to have some, actually, let's do this. I know that we're going to get to the market strategy and all that, but so let me add like some concerns. I'm thinking here like concerns on both sides, especially from the person lending it.
Yeah.
So take me through some different scenarios. I don't want to list, let's say, because I have a $1,200 dress that I bought. I don't wear it, but it has value, right? And I'm going to rent it for how much for the 4 days, do you think?
Honestly, it's pretty interesting to see how the market has been figuring out itself, because that's the cool thing about a marketplace is we don't decide the prices.
Oh, okay.
Our lenders do. And so we have a lot of lenders that list out we have tons of $250 plus dresses that are listed out for $30 to $40 on the site.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. Let me bring my ticket price down a little bit then.
Yeah.
So, okay, I have a $300 dress. I'm going to rent it for 4 days for $30, which great deal for everybody, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm afraid that they're going to spill something, stain it, rip it.
Yeah,
like so.
Right.
Absolutely.
How do you guys mitigate that risk or answer that objection?
Absolutely.
Sure.
This is something that we talked to our early adopters a lot about when we sat down and had meetings with them in building the product. And as Noah mentioned before, it does come back a little bit to that community niche, how within college communities, even if you don't know the lender personally, your friend knows the lender. And so there definitely is a certain amount of caution when using items that we have a bit of a cushion. However, we have a policy where when you go and list an item, you add an original price as well as what you want to rent that item out for. And so if an item is returned damaged, then we are able to charge the renter to their credit card the amount of that original price of the item if need be, once that claim is opened and if that's what's deemed appropriate.
Yeah, so our idea is kind of like, since we're such an early stage startup, the biggest problem with marketplaces like this is with damaged goods. For example, we originally, and our goal is to be kind of like DoorDash. What happens when your driver stole your food or you get the wrong order that comes to you? DoorDash immediately is able to give you a refund on it. So that's generally and eventually our goal. That's also why we're looking into fundraising, because we want you to be able to get immediately all your money back. Now, at the same time, just how you talked about how that's an important dress for you. We also, a lot of the time, tell our lenders, you not necessarily to be listing the most important clothes in their closet. This is a way to make a side hustle on the clothes that's sitting in the back of your closet that you never touch, that you probably want to get rid of anyways, but you can lend it out and make more income on it by doing it over and over again.
It seems like this could also be used by entrepreneurs who make their own clothing and something really interesting, or even like somebody who makes clothing for like raves or
Funny you
something
mention
like that.
because that is one of our major feature goals, is to eventually create a place where a lot of local brands and clothing designers can have pop-ups with a lot of their clothes that isn't necessarily maybe selling in store. We are a generally more virtualized and online world. So there's a lot of local places, for example, Picked FSU, that we want to reach out to these communities and businesses to be able to list their items on a pop-up on our shop.
Okay, now I'm switching my hat to investor. You said you're looking for investors, yes?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Eventually.
So you're looking for investors.
Starting to.
Starting to. So let's talk about your business model. How do you make money, and how do you, like, what are your different revenue streams, and how are you going to scale this thing?
For sure. So our main revenue stream right now is, as a marketplace, we take a transaction fee off of every single listing,
Which is
30%.
okay.
So 30% is what we started with. Generally, it seems that our user community has been happy with that. That's also a pretty standard percentage compared to most of the other online clothing marketplaces. And also, we definitely are trying to come up with unique ways to diversify our revenue stream. For example, a lot of people are enjoying a clothing line that we came out with for the app. So we have merch with hats and shirts that a lot of people are starting to like, that we actually just created our own little online pop-up to make about $5 to $10 on each of those items. So, but that's our current two ways of generating any revenue.
Okay, nice. And follow up on that. So going forward, how long do you think it'll take you? Do you have metrics that you're measuring or thinking, okay, once we hit this point at FSU, we're ready to go to
Exactly. Our
University of
goal
Florida?
is to hit breakage at FSU. That's probably about whenever we plateau as many users as we can. That might be 5,000 students that we have on the app. That might be 7,000. It might be 3,000. And whenever we do hit breakage, then we're going to try to figure out, okay, how can we pass that plateau? Now, once we've done that and been able to create the exact micro financial model of FSU that we know we've hit our limits to, then we will start trying to expand to probably 2 more universities and see if we'll be able to duplicate that there. We generally think a lot of the Southern schools are going to be very similar, going next to somewhere like UF or Alabama or Georgia, where it's going to take a lot more market research to see if the model applies to is a place like in the Northeast, such as Harvard or those types of different area schools. But that's our current plan. And we are currently looking for angel investment in terms of small amounts. So we're not necessarily looking for a huge investment, just what we need as we continue to expand slowly.
So we have a lot of angel investors listening. So what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're generally only looking for less than $10,000. We've operated the entire business from January up until this point from a $2,000 grant that we got from the university. So exactly, that's been
Who sponsors this podcast?
There you go.
That sponsorship from Jim Moran is what has gotten us through all of our marketing and user acquisition up until this point. And next would just be to continue what we're doing until we hit breakage at FSU and then go from there.
Fantastic. So I'm going to put on my teacher hat real quick. And as a professor at FSU, do you guys know about the micro grant program?
Yes, so that's where we received the $2,000.
Oh, I thought you won $2,000 from the InNOLEvation challenge.
No,
No.
we haven't done that yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I got confused. Okay, so you got $2,000 from. Well, that can go up to $5,000. You know that, right? So you've got a lot of traction. I would really encourage you to go back to them.
I didn't know
because
that.
there's $3,000 more there.
Yeah.
At Jim Moran
That
College.
might even save us from having to do investment just yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, when you think about investment, it's really, it's a little bit about the money, but it's a lot. Can you get an angel investor who knows this space and would be able to really expand?
That's what's most important for us. We're also trying to start developing an advisory board right now of people that have experience in the marketplace or generally really experienced entrepreneurs to just help us with guidance as we're currently trying to get closer to expanding.
No, that's really smart. So, all right. So, gonna wrap this up. As far as, actually, I always like to ask, what's been one of your most challenging moments? You've been rocking and rolling for 11 months.
There's definitely been a lot.
I like to do this because every entrepreneur has issues. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to this program are new and they're having problems, and they look at other entrepreneurs like, oh, everything's going great for them. So
definitely not. Rocky road.
Tell us a rocky road thing.
I'm sure KJ can pick one.
Absolutely. Well, definitely being an entrepreneur, running a startup, you try to master the art of the graceful pivot, and we are certainly no exception. Along our journey, we lost one of our technical co-founders, which definitely put a bit of a strain on the product development side. And so Noah and our third co-founder, Wesley, have been doing their very best, and amazing very best, at picking up that slack. I think with a tech product, that's one of the most challenging aspects, is that it is not a very speedy process to innovate. And so that's been a challenge at times.
Or at least trying to be speedy.
Trying to be speedy, yes, absolutely, while balancing school. And
being a part-time student and being a full-time developer is a difficult thing to balance.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we are a very close-knit co-founding team and super passionate about the idea, and just excited for what's next.
I'd say the most difficult thing was going so many months without users. It's really difficult to keep motivation, but those are the times that they always tell entrepreneurs, if you can get through those times of very little traction with not much going on, and you can just keep pushing through, then that's what leads to success.
Absolutely.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for coming in, and I know that you've already sent me all the info. So is this on both the App Store and on Google Play?
Currently just iOS, but we did develop it in a cross-platform framework, so we are going to be pushing to Google Play very soon. Okay, and if they want to find it on Google Play, they will type in... Raide app. Raide. That's just exactly what we'll put. R-A-I-D-E. All right. Yep. Very, very good. Awesome. So, well, hey, thanks for listening, and thanks, Raide, for coming in. Thanks for having us. Have the best of luck, and definitely get the rest of that micro grant and the innovation challenge. That's a lot of money and a lot of expertise that will go forward for you guys and really help you out. Hey, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe on whatever platform you are listening on, and please share. Get the word out to anybody who's interested in startups, investors, or early entrepreneurs to get some encouragement and some ideas. Drop us a like and a comment, and if you know of a entrepreneur or innovator who's connected with FSU, send them our way. Thank you.